Hello, everybody. Welcome to Uncommon Analysis. Today, I just want to take a few minutes. We're going to go a little bit different. We're not going to talk about U.S. Well, it is a little bit of tie into the U.S., but this is mainly going to be a topic about what's going on in our friendly neighbor to the north, Canada, up in the Great White North there. Uh, as you probably are aware, and if you're not, Trudeau, who has been the prime minister now for quite a while, is in some serious trouble. His administration is pretty much over. They have a parliamentary system. A vote of no confidence is almost certainly going to happen if it hasn't already happened. There are calls from almost everyone across the political spectrum, including the left, for him to resign. The political left is just looking at a disaster at the elections coming up, whether they be the scheduled elections, which I believe are later this year in the fall, or they end up having Trudeau leave early and have old snap elections. I don't know the exact. I don't think Trudeau has formally announced his resignation yet. But it's only a matter of time until he's either going to get no confidence voted out or he's going to resign. As you know, they're a parliamentary system in Canada, so a vote of no confidence could happen at any time, and snap elections could be called at almost any time. But I do believe there are scheduled elections later this year. Now, Trudeau, it's kind of amusing to me that this is what's finally taking Trudeau down. What happened was apparently he wanted to fire or move his finance minister, and his finance minister said, "Screw you, I quit. I have no confidence. You guys have bankrupted the country. You guys have just, your policies have destroyed this country." And that triggered all this. But Trudeau has been, let's just say, a less than noble figure in Canadian politics for quite a while. I thought his actions during the COVID lockdowns and the draconian behaviors of the Canadian government to the protests to it were going to be his last straw. He threatened to use emergency powers that really were not intended for what he used them for. He was freezing people's bank accounts, threatening people with long jail times for basically protesting the COVID lockdowns. All kinds of draconian things that you would think a civil society would have said no to. But Canada, they are a different culture up there. They are definitely willing to put up with a lot more than a lot of Americans would, for sure. But he did get smacked down for a lot of that in the courts after the fact, a lot of his behaviors. But he seemed to be running that out. It seemed to be this last straw seems to have been this resignation by this finance minister. That seems to be the final straw. Now all kinds of groups have called for his resignation, and his administration is effectively over. When it actually is going to end, I can't say, but for all intents and purposes, his political support is gone. The majority of Canadians want him gone. The Liberal Party of Canada will probably get just butchered in the next, whenever these elections do happen, whether it be in the fall or whether it be earlier. I suspect that something's going to happen earlier. I don't think Trudeau can hang on for another, I think the election, I could be wrong, but I think the elections were originally scheduled for October or something along those lines. And I have a hard time believing he's going to be able to hang on for 10 months. But now that the cat is kind of out of the bag and Trudeau is effectively over, we're learning other things about the Canadian corruption under Trudeau. And one of them that came out in the last few days was this.
A shocking allegation from India. Officials claim Indian nationals are being trafficked to the United States using Canadian colleges and universities as a front. Indian police accuse at least one man of charging huge sums and arranging for people to get admission and a student visa. But they say once the individuals or students reach Canada, instead of joining the college, they illegally cross the U.S.-Canada border. Admission fees to the college are then returned. Indian police claim tens of thousands of students and hundreds of colleges in Canada are involved, though they do not name any of them.
We have an honor-based system, and it's being exploited by transnational criminals and other individuals who simply are taking advantage of a system that has virtually no oversight.
The Indian investigation started after the Patel family from India was found frozen to death in 2022, trying to cross into the U.S. from Canada. U.S. prosecutors argued two men, ultimately convicted, brought people from India to Canada on student visas, only to send them across the border. According to U.S. data, since 2022, the overall number of Indian nationals caught illegally crossing into the U.S. from Canada has skyrocketed. One expert says work opportunities in the U.S. are attractive.
So here you go. This is not something necessarily new. I mean, the exposure of it all and the facts of this coming out of this report clearly put it in the mainstream, but the illegal entry via Canada of folks into the United States is nothing new. The libertine systems of Canada of saying, hey, just come here, right, has brought lots of people who bounce through Canada and then sneak into the United States. This isn't something that should be surprising, but it is something that's kind of been ignored unless you're listening to right-wing type media who has pointed it out for years. Because Canadian, Trudeau's certainly not going to talk about it. They always like, hey, we're liberal, we're open, come to Canada. We just have an honor-based system, right? All this stuff. And of course, criminals have been taking advantage of it, as what happens, and it was known to be going on. But, the media wasn't going to talk about it. But this is the kind of stuff that's been going on. And the United States government knows it, as you just heard. They know this stuff. They're catching more of them because there's more of them crossing. And this is shameful. And if you brought this up under Biden in any way, shape, or form, it would get smacked down. The media wasn't going to talk about it, right? If you brought criminals coming in the United States through Canada in the United States, you would have been called a conspiracy theorist. You've been called a nut, a wackadoo. The same people that, just have to defend left-wing policies and insanity, no matter what, which control most of the media, at least the mainstream media, would have just dismissed this. And here we are once again. Those conspiracy theories, quote unquote, have been proven true. Now, Trudeau is going to be gone. It's looking more and more like a right-wing government will replace him. We'll see. The time frame on it is going to vary. If he doesn't step down, it would be, if he doesn't step down voluntarily, his own party, the parliament, can simply vote of no confidence, and his administration will be over without him formally resigning, and that's it. And then hold snap elections and replace him. So we'll see how this plays out. But effectively, Trudeau's years are over, and a lot of what the people who have pushed Trudeau they're lying. There was a whole lot of stuff going on that they decided to ignore and lie about and not, talk about because, hey, we don't want to talk about it. It doesn't fit the left-wing narrative we want to be out there. So this dovetails into the immigration discussion going on in the United States. Trump is back in power, and Trump being back in power, this was going to come to the fore one way or another. As you can see, in 2021, there were 250-ish caught. Now we're up to 14,000 plus. This was not going to be tolerated. And it's come to a head. So, yeah, we'll see what happens up north, but it's pretty clear the Canadians need to stop embracing the far left insanity, accept the reality of what goes on, understand the world is not a nice place, and that, liberal policies usually are destructive because they don't think shit through. Oh, it just feels good. Aren't we so noble? We're helping the masses. Send your poor here. Send them to us. We'll take care of them. No, you're not. You're filtered. Criminals are leveraging it and taking advantage of your system. And believe me, it wasn't just innocent students who got in the United States through Canada over the last 4 years. I guarantee you, there are criminals who've entered the United States through this type of thing. They've gotten into Canada because of their loose immigration, gotten a visa there, and then snuck south. A certain amount of these people are not these people necessarily that are talking about in this article, but a certain amount of criminal element have certainly gotten in the United States to the northern border as well as the southern border. But you can't talk about that. The American press, right? Oh, you mentioned that. Oh, my God, you're racist. It's just factual reality, folks. It has nothing to do with racism. But it doesn't fit the left-wing narrative, so it won't be discussed. Anyway, just thought I'd bring that to your attention if you didn't already know. Hope you're having a great day, and I hope you have a wonderful new year. And with that, I am out.